I think that a lot of people have this misconceived notion in their minds of what Lent really is. On Wednesday, we entered into the Lenten season with Ash Wednesday, when we were blessed and had ashes placed on our foreheads. And I think kind of the general consensus is that this time of the liturgical calendar is about sacrifice. It's about really the sadness and the solemnity leading up into Good Friday and into the sacrifice that our Lord made for us. And Catholics are known for what they're giving up during this time of year. Sacrifice is a huge part of that. Really, it's about the ultimate sacrifice that Jesus made. However, I think a hugely important part that a lot of us miss about Lent is, what do we add in? Besides just the sacrifice that we're making in Jesus' name, I think it's really important to remember that we're adding things in so that we can actually grow closer in our relationship with Jesus. And there are so many ways to do that. Really profound challenges on the Hallow app are going to be awesome, and that's something I'll utilize in my day-to-day life as well. But I was really searching and praying over, what can I add to my routine and into what I do that's going to help me really reestablish and build this relationship with Christ. I started thinking, and I, over the last months and weeks, have been doing digging into first century cooking. When you go on a first date, what is generally the first thing that you like to do with someone you're getting to know? You'll go out and you sit and you grab dinner and you listen. I think that this is going to be a really interesting experiment in getting to know Christ by starting with the food he may have eaten. I think we can get a really good idea of what it would have been like to sit at the table with Jesus Christ and go through his word and really just dissect that and digest that together as a family. I think it's going to be a really powerful practice, and I'm just super excited to share it with you because I would love to hear if it's something that you would like to add to your Lenten routine as well. Besides that, I'm just getting real out of my comfort zone here, but I'm excited to have you in my kitchen, and I'd love you to come with me and enjoy some first century Lenten meals. So I struggled a little bit with what I was going to do for my first Lenten meal video, and you would kind of think the reasonable direction to go might be with bread, but I decided not to do that, evidently. We're going to take it a totally different direction, kind of really where it all began with the apostles. So because it's Friday, and Friday should be a day of fasting anyways, where we do not eat any kind of meat or red meat or chicken or anything like that, we would be eating only fish. So fish was actually a major food staple of the time that Jesus lived, and that's evidenced in pretty much all of the Gospels. There are so many references to fish. So I was so curious about that and how it might have been prepared, and also what kind of fish were they eating from the Sea of Galilee. So I think everybody and their mother has heard of tilapia, which was the diet craze of the 2000s. It was so popular. Really, it kind of tastes like nothing, but it also goes with everything. So it's a really easy one to make, and it's kind of foolproof, honestly. Tilapia, I did not realize, is also known across the world as St. Peter's fish. So I think that is the perfect place to start. Calling Simon Peter as an apostle and just being able to connect there. We're going to make some St. Peter's fish, and we are also just going to dive into the word of the gospel there, in which Peter joins on. He doesn't really have a choice.
So I struggled and I thought a little bit about how to do this, if I wanted to talk about the recipe or how I was going to tie in really any of the stories from the Bible with what I'm doing and how I tie this back to my Lenten journey. And as I was going through, I think what I'm going to try for this one is just to have some details on the screen while I'm cooking on screen, and then just to talk about the verse that it brings to mind for me. So with that, we will go forward for now, if this works. I think this is one of my favorite passages from the Gospels. I am a big Simon Peter fan, just in general. I'm the kind of follower who had a little bit of a rebirth. And so some of his hot temper and his questions just I really relate to as I'm reading through the Gospel. And I like to try to see things through his eyes. So I'm going to start today with a reading from Matthew chapter 4, starting with verse 18 here. This is the call of the first disciples, in which Jesus meets who will become his original disciples who will follow him. As he was walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, casting a net into the sea. They were fishermen. He said to them, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and they followed him. I think that verse is just so powerful for a lot of reasons. The big thing that stands up to me, if I'm breaking this down for myself, is that at once they left their nets and followed him. There wasn't a question. There's nothing listed here about a dialogue or saying, who are you to ask us to follow you? Just that he was so great, that their meaning was so much greater than their vocation in a job sense. Their vocation was truly to be men of God. The other thing that really strikes me here, again, as we're going back to that vocation, is come after me and I will make you fishers of men. Jesus saw in these men already and knew what fate had already known. But he looks to these men and he sees their strengths, and he knows, yes, they're fishermen, but how can we heighten your strengths and build you to a higher purpose? And that higher purpose of being the foundation of his original church, I think, is so powerful. This was such a simple recipe, and it's something honestly we probably would have already eaten in our day-to-day life, but I think there was power in doing something and preparing something with that intentionality, that really kind of really fulfilled the experience of putting ourselves in the shoes as we went through the word. Um, Honestly, this was really good. I will definitely be making this dish again. And I am just so blessed that you guys took the time to watch through and let me share this with you. As far as our sacrifice this year, I think it's important to point out that absolutely we are doing that as well. This year and pretty much every year, I was just making an intentional effort, to abstain from any kind of alcohol or any of those kind of vices that get in the way of any kind of relationship, not just your relationship with God, and taking that time and really using it intentionally to grow in my spirituality and my faith. Just I think the big word of the year for Lent is intentionality. So keeping my focus there. I am just so blessed to have so many resources available to myself. We're absolutely loving the Hallow Challenge, the 40-day Lenten challenge called The Way. We're only a few days in, and it's already been just so powerful. It is absolutely moving and a great thing to share as a family as well. So I hope you will continue to join me on this Lenten journey, and I wish you a blessed Lent.
Done. I got you this work. Okay, this is the finished plate. I did notice that the garlic on the fish actually turned blue. Like a really pretty color of blue, I think. Oh, I'm losing some stuff here. I don't know if you can see that. And that is just the reaction between the garlic and the lemon juice that's on there. Like I said, lemon would not have been a fruit that they had access to. It would have been called a citron. I could not find that. However, a lemon is a hybrid made with a citron, so it's the closest thing we have. So I kind of have to wonder, did cooks at the time of Christ have the same issue of blue garlic in their food? And then we just have a little bit of a salad on the side. So the closest thing that we have that's comparable to the bitter greens that are listed in the Bible would be like a bitter salad mix. So there's a little bit of arugula and stuff in there with feta cheese, which actually would have been around at the time of Christ. So we were very glad that there will still be cheese available to us. So I'll let you one first bite. Which one do you want to do first?
I'm taking a little bit of the salad first.
Okay. So this just has olive oil and balsamic vinegar on it, which both would have been available condiments at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can say if you don't like stuff too, you're allowed.
That's very good. Stomach's grumbling. Here you go first.
We'll buy fish. St. Peter's fish from the Sea of Galilee. Probably not really now, but
Mm-hmm. good.
I'd eat that again. The blue garlic just tastes like regular garlic. Pretty good.
Very good. Yummy.
I'd say overall for a first century meal, now they wouldn't be standing around a plate in front of a camera in the kitchen. All these foods would have been eaten communally. So this would have been a spread, whether it's on a table or as a picnic, and they'd eat all from the same plate and they'd be sharing, they'd be breaking bread that way. Thanks. It's really weird to eat in front of a camera. I feel a little weird about it. It's actually really good. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm gonna be making this. Blue garlic. Who would have thought?